Hello everyone and welcome to the first day of 2024. I am so glad that you've joined me today on our program Walking with the Word, and I'm excited that we have this time together. My name is Jonathan Burns and thank you so much for joining me. We have a big year ahead of us. We have all sorts of different programs we're going to do. We're going to do some Greek word studies together on Mondays. We're going to do some chapter studies, as well as we're going to do some topical studies and some things we might not study on a regular basis during 2024. And I'm excited that you've joined me today. Click that share button and help us share this program so others might see it today. Now, we're studying today in a topic entitled The 4 C's of the New Year. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to get your Bible, and I want you to get it out, and I want you to go to the book of Hebrews. And we're going to go to Hebrews 13, and there we're going to find 4 different words, 2 of which we'll find in the text, and 2 of which we'll see in the context of the passage to help us see 4 words that we can exemplify during 2024. Go with me to Hebrews 13 and notice verses 5 and 6. It reads this way: "Let your conduct be without covetousness. Be content with such things as you have. For he himself said, I will never leave you, nor forsake you. So we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper. I will not fear. What can man do to me?" Here in the book of Hebrews, the writer is talking about the faithful lives of which we can live. And the 4 words I want us to study are conduct, content, companion, and confidence, to help us build our faith so that we can follow through inside of the faith. Let's look at the first part of the verse to see our first word. Let your conduct be without covetousness. Now, our first word is conduct, and this is simply a word that means your life. Let your life be without covetousness. But the conduct that we're talking about is not just emphatically talking about how we should not want to covet after others, but it's this concept in the scenes that our lives need to be right with God. This word covetousness is a word that you see. Let your conduct be without covetousness. And we know that that's a word that means I'm seeking after the desires of others, the things of others, so that I'll do anything I can to get them. Now, in this concept, there is this idea from Ephesians 5:5 and Colossians 3:5 that talks about our conduct. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to think about the word conduct. Really, I want you to think about your life as I think about mine. And what I want to do with us is ask a simple question. If Christ was with you right now, and He has told you everything that you've done today, that would be Monday, January the 1st, 2024, what would He tell you? What would He praise? But listen to this. What would He condemn? Would He condemn covetousness? That's the context of the passage. Or are there other things that we must consider in our lives? And thus the first word I want us to think about is conduct. The second word is content or contentment. The writer says, be content with such things as you have. We live in a fast-paced world. We live in a society that's moving forward, a progressive society. I'm not saying those things are bad. I'm not saying they're good. But that's the society we live in. We live in a society where we proverbially keep up with the Joneses. We want to have this thing and that thing. We want the newest gadget, the newest phone, the newest watch, the newest tablet, all those things. We want them. We want the nicest home, and we want the nicest cars and the biggest bank accounts. And sometimes we spend all of our time going nowhere, not getting where we need to be, not doing what we should be doing. We spend our time spinning our wheels because we have lost the concept of contentment. The writer here says, be content with such things as you have. Not everyone is going to be a millionaire. Not everyone is going to have the newest and latest and greatest. And that's okay. We need to really focus in our lives, especially thinking about parents. I am a parent. And I need to be teaching, as you should be teaching your children and your grandchildren, that the newest is not always best. What I mean by that is, you don't have to have things to build your self-worth. I don't have to have the newest thing to make me fit in. I don't have to have the newest clothes to make me feel like everyone else. I don't have to have all of these things that everybody else says is good and great. Because the truth is, society sometimes gets it wrong. Not only that, society, our world, will lead us in ways that we never wanted to go. You see, if we're not content, we'll seek after the things we never thought we wanted in the first place. We'll seek after things everybody else wants, and we will never find true contentment. I love the scenes of this. With such things as you have. You know, it's so easy to look at what everybody else has, and we forget what we have. Sometimes I hear parents tell me that they don't want to raise their children as they were raised, but they forget how they actually were raised, the things that they had, not the things they didn't have. You see, contentment. Imagine what life would be if we valued contentment. Here's the third word, and this one's not found in the text, but let's just read part of this particular passage. For He Himself said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. God is not going anywhere. Now, you may be watching this and you're not a believer in God. I'm not making fun of you for that. I'm not being controversial for you. But I want you to know the Bible tells you, and it tells me, that God isn't going anywhere. What we need to do fundamentally is determine why we believe in God. Go study the Bible, how we receive the Bible, how we obtain the Bible, and see why we can have faith. But not only that, see all the Bible claims. And one of those claims is, I will never leave you nor forsake you. It may feel like we don't have any companions. No one's there with us. We feel alone. We feel forsaken. You know, we're not the only ones that have ever felt that way. Those in the Old Testament many times had to hear from God, like in Deuteronomy 31:6 and Psalm 55:2, that God was never going to leave them. There's always a companion. And we need to recognize that that's something that we need. We need this companion, and that companion can be and should be God. Now, certainly we need to understand that in marriage, God has created a companion, the spouse. In our families, He's created companions in our children, in our friendships. In the church, God created companions, fellow believers. But I want you to notice this. If we do not have God in our lives, if we think He's going to fail us, we won't follow Him. And that's something we need to lead into a new year. We need a companion. Now, I want to take a side note for just a moment. Go with me here. Maybe you today are someone who has been hurt by the church. Maybe someone said something to you that you didn't approve of, and maybe it was downright wrong. I'm not wading into that. Maybe someone said something you didn't like to hear, and maybe it was right. I'm not wading into that. Maybe someone did something to you, and it was wrong. I'm sorry that happened to you. But I want you to hear these words, and it's the words of a companion. He has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. If you feel you've been forsaken by the church, just remember, God did not do that to you. God didn't do that to you. So don't give up on Him, because an imperfect people failed a perfect God. God can be a companion. He'll never leave us. But He gives us something that we need. That's the last part of the passage. So that we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper. I will not fear. What can man do to me? I had two passages on the screen, Luke 12:4-5 and Romans 8:31. I'm not going to give you those passages. I want you to go and look those up so that you can know what it means to have confidence. But what I do want to do is I want to look at the three phrases. The Lord is my helper. I will not fear. What can man do to me? The first, the Lord is my helper. Who better to help you? If you are a person of faith, someone who believes in the Bible, who better for you to have help from? From God or man? From God or man? The Lord is my helper. Now, how does God help us? Well, I want to share with you a couple of ways God helps us today. And they're going to be simple ways, but they are so complex. Number one, He helps me in His Word. How does He help me? He has provided me His document, His mind. Now, He doesn't give us everything we'd like to know. I would like to know why He created spiders and why they couldn't be so creepy. That's something I'd like to know, but He doesn't give me that information. I'd like to know when Jesus is going to return. He's not given me that information. But He has given me what I need to know to be with Him, to reunite with Him as we were created. So number one, He's our helper in His Word. Number two, He's our helper in prayer. Jesus is our advocate with the Father. We pray into the Father. Jesus knows. He redeems. He saves. And there's a Father who always has a listening ear. Then I want to share with you this one, the third one. We don't think about it very often, and I don't mention it very often, and maybe as a preacher I should mention it more. But think about the sustaining power of God. How do you think this earth holds where it is? It's because God put it there, and God keeps it there. How do you think these life cycles continue to cycle? Because He keeps them going. He keeps them moving. We have an unimaginable dependence upon God. The Lord is my helper. Not only that, I will not fear. There's two ways I want you to think about this fear here. Number one, I will not fear what could happen to me in this life. But number two, I won't fear marching into eternity. Now I know, and I will tell you, that sometimes life is scary. Sometimes life is difficult. We never know what's going to happen, and I know sometimes we have fear. That's not what I'm talking about. But there's nothing man can do to us, and we'll see this here in a moment, because He says, what can man do to me? There's nothing that man can do to us that should cause us to fear, because God is there. That's the second idea. Marching into eternity, I have no fear as His child. If I am His, I have nothing to worry about. Why? Because He has redeemed me. And I will not fear. I will not fear what happens. Therefore, I can boldly go into confidence in life no matter what comes true. That's that third scene. What can man do to me? Well, man can do a lot. Man can take your life. But remember, we're supposed to follow the one who not only can take the life, but can put soul in eternal hell. To destroy, to separate for eternity. All these things. Therefore, we can have confidence in who God is. Read this with me again. Let your conduct be without covetousness. Be content with such things as you have, for He Himself has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. So we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper. I will not fear. What can man do to me? You see, our new year is here. And we can have conduct, we can have contentment, we can have companion, we can have confidence. But let me share you one more C. We have to make the choice. We have to make the choice to follow God. What will you choose? What will I choose? What will we choose? There's the question that's at hand. And hopefully today, you will focus your year, you will turn to Him, and you will be His. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm glad that you're with us. We've got a ton of good stuff coming up, and we'll be outlining some of that more as we go through. But for now, I'm Jonathan Burns signing off on Walking with the Word.